Welcome back, and thank you for watching Black Views. Today, I want to talk about the biggest losers in the black community. The biggest losers in the black community are its politicians and its democratic shields. And let me tell you why. Black politicians have been the biggest assistants of white supremacy that we have known to date. We deal with all type of issues that riddle the black community, from homelessness to crime and education, and just access to things that a regular citizen should have. The reason I say politicians are the worst because these are the individuals that are supposed to be the most educated, supposed to be the most knowledgeable to the policies in our country and in our communities. And when there are policies that have been written that affect your community, these should be the first ones to ring the alarm to let the common man in the black community know that there are problems that are going on in Congress or throughout the nation. If you so happen to watch the news, the only black politicians that speak are going to speak about things that are for everyone else. That's what they do. Our politicians talk about things that affect everyone else and try to let the majority society know that they're American first. Not black first, but they're American first. What exactly do I mean by that? What I mean by that is the politicians that we have choose and they operate in essence where their job is to please the larger majority. Their job is to show that they can be a team player, not worrying about any black issues. They're going to worry about things like women's productive rights. They're going to worry about things like the environment. They're going to worry about all things that don't matter to the black community and what the real issues are that are affecting us. Have you noticed the majority, the media, always seem to look for the less knowledgeable black person that understands the situations? They will interview people that do not have a grasp on reality. And you know why this is? Because your black politicians do not speak on things that go on, so the community will not know what's going on. So when they talk, and guess what? White media gets a kick out of this. Whenever there's a problem or whenever there's something going on in our community, they'll go find someone with the Jiffy Pop hat on to try to explain what's going on. And you have to understand there are different levels of education. I don't care how you want to put it. I know you want to say, you got smart black people, you got dumb black people, however the hell you want to put it. But there are people that are smarter than others. But what the media does is they choose to look for the ones that will say the most ridiculous things. Me personally, I blame the politician because the people of the community do not have a grasp of what is going on. You know why that is? There's no speeches being conducted. There's no politician that's going to the worst of the neighborhoods that he even represents to speak out on the lawn, to speak out in a parking lot, to let the people know what is going on. I don't know what type of shit this is we have nowadays where, well, I'm sorry. I don't know why I say nowadays. Since my life, the politicians have been like this, where they do nothing for the poor people in their community. Marion Barry, and that's because I'm from the District of Columbia, was the only politician or true politician that I saw that actually cared about the people and tried to put things in place that would make their lives better. It's not to say that there weren't some other ones. I'm just speaking on Marion Barry because I am from the District of Columbia. And so now we come upon the 2024 election. Okay? It's the 2024 election. And if you look at all the things that are happening as far as immigration, as far as us getting reparations, as far as you have wars that are going on in different parts of the world that America is fully funding, but not the neighborhoods. And all it takes is, at least I would feel some kind of way if I heard our politicians. I'm not talking about people of color, I'm talking about black people. Our politicians stand up, speak, and say something about what's going on in our community. Not only are the politicians horrible, the NAACP and every group that was put in place to assist black Americans, foundational black Americans, have either been taken over or they now serve some other function. Now you tell me if this is not what you call confided against. But what you do see in our communities are illegal aliens, because that's what they are. They are illegal aliens in our communities. You see hundreds, almost a million. I believe there's actually several million that have come through that border in the past month. I know it's more than what they're saying, that it's 10,000. And then you're starting to hear that these illegal aliens are obtaining funds and money, debit cards, insurance. Now just think about it. Black people have worked so hard every day and they don't have adequate health insurance. Many times when you see single moms, they have to go on assistance to get health insurance, to get things to help with taking care of their child. And these things are not given to us willfully. They're always given to us with some type of, freeloading, or we're getting something for free. Although we're paying taxes and we are American citizens. We're legal aliens, basically. Not illegal aliens. We are legal aliens. Which means they cannot deport us. But they recognize and they do not want us to be part of American society, as you obviously can see. What I would say to my young black people is, do not be naive. Understand that the world is changing and not for your favor. And these immigrants that come here, in the next 10 years, you'll be working for them. Because there's nothing put in place for you as you grow. You have people like Kamala Harris that will try to make you think that they are black when they are not. On her birth certificate, she's listed as Caucasian. So if you have that type of frame of mind, it's no way you can be black first, or seem to think that you're going to understand the things that are going on in black communities. This is how the Democrats will continue to try to go after black votes, making us think that we see a familiar face that is in line with our wants and our needs. And that is not what's happening. And it hasn't happened. Over $50 billion has been basically agreed upon to send to Ukraine. Now just imagine if $50 billion were spent in our major cities. We could go by area codes. We know the area codes where we're having mischief at. We know the area codes that are most affected by crime and riddled with gunshots and death. Why can't we give $50 billion to those area codes in our own country that are suffering? I want you to think logically. It logically doesn't make sense. And it's that way for a reason. And this is why we have to start playing smart, start delineating from other groups that try to get up under us as us, but mean us no well. And let me tell you what I mean by that. There are people out here that are from different areas throughout the Caribbean nations and even Africa that only will say that they're black to benefit their cause. And any other time they will say, no, I'm not black. I am from whatever nation or whatever community that they're from. But whenever there's something for black people, they'll be the first to say that they are black. And then behind our back, we will be encadas and we will be all type of things. I remember growing up and had friends from different communities, and we had friends that were from Panama. Because the DMV is kind of area where people come due to military, so you'll see different types of families and so forth. But there were brothers in particular that were from different countries that looked like us, and at that time we would say, "You black, man," and I would always use the analogy. "Yeah, let me tell you how you black, because if the KKK came running down the street, he wouldn't have time to sit down and to say, 'No, this is a Jamaican,' and 'No, this is a black man from America.'" And they would always say, "I'm not black. I'm not black." And so this is how it started. The same thing with the Africans. We used to try to get up under them, and we try to bring them in, and hopefully we understood that we were the minority, but we were hoping that by having immigrants come over and have people from different parts of the world that would come, we thought that would help us even our numbers out, and that they would even vote for things that would seem to be obvious, that would help the common person. But then as you start to get as a working age, man, you start to have to work with these different groups in the workplace. And oh boy, when money is involved, this is when you start to see how different groups would literally stab you in your back. There's no politician that understands this and tries to maintain things for you. Remember, we had affirmative action. But what did they do with affirmative action? They made that available for all people of color and all people, if they were green, black, and blue, and people from wherever. So what ended up happening was affirmative action seemed to assist everyone but black people. Trust me when I'm telling you this. Affirmative action, the last person to really benefit from affirmative action most likely was Clarence Thomas. That was it. That's like the last person who can really tell you about how affirmative action assisted them. So affirmative action was good to go during the civil rights era. When all the rights were coming down and all these things that were put in place to keep black people from turning shit up. They say, yeah, okay, yeah, affirmative action. But if you understand the wording of all these benefits that we so-called were to have, they left it wide open. And who left it wide open? Other black politicians that were more knowledgeable of our situations that were going on at that time. They were very educated to what could be done to assist black people. So we had leaders, black leaders, who were politicians, judges, lawyers that were in place that can read and write very well. And they failed us. They only lined their own pockets. They were only concerned with moving themselves out of the hood. And as long as their stomachs, their bellies were fat, and they had a good meal on there, and their kids went to universities, that's where they stopped at. And that's where the sham is, right there. Then comes your religious organizations, your churches, your pastors. Okay? There were a lot of churches at one time. They didn't get, funding from the government. They didn't get faith-based funding or anything like that. But once they start to get that, they no longer serve the community, and they started to serve whatever that the major society wanted us. That's why there's no church that really can help. How can you live in a community with a mega church and your community is horrible, and the mega church is not providing anything for you? It's a business. They're not going to tell you what you're doing wrong. They're just going to tell you enough, make you feel good, so that you can continue to pay tithes. And the hell with everyone else. And the only time I hear about crime in the hood that can be helped, and not even helped, is when they want to talk about it as black on black crime. You literally have black people that will argue with you about whatever the hell that you think that's positive for black people and tell you about black on black crime. These are democratic shills. We know that there's crime, but there's white on white crime, there's Asian on Asian crime, there's Hispanic on Hispanic crime. There's all type of crime that goes on throughout the world between different communities. But our politicians will continue to talk about these crime, but not put things in place to curb the crime. And I want you to honestly ask yourself, in modern time, what politician has talked about black on black crime at the on Capitol Hill? Who's actually talked about we need funding? We need asylum for the people in Chicago, the black people in Chicago. We need asylum for all the black people in these cities that are riddled by crime. Where is the money? Where's the money for that? Like where is the funding to stop crime in a positive way? I ain't got to say you got to lock everybody up, but why aren't there other organizations, supplemental organizations that can assist youth? Why can't money be spent on them being all day having some type of social worker work with them so that we can curb crime in our communities? So if you're a thinking man, you already see that something is going on, that something is wrong. And this is why we can no longer vote the same way that we vote. You can no longer look at a black politician and assume that he's there to assist you because he went to a HBCU. No, 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 no. You have to look at the funding that's going to HBCUs. Okay, they're not talking about issues that's going on in black America communities. They're talking about women's rights. They're talking about rape culture. They're talking about did Will Smith actually smack Chris Rock? These are the conversations that go on in our HBCUs, and and the HBCUs disconnect themselves from the poorest fucking hood. The HBCUs were put in place for those that are educated to understand the issues that are going on in the black neighborhoods, and they're supposed to help change it. But instead, what they focus on is finding an office somewhere that they can manage and be paid by white establishments that keeps them out of the game. They're going to pay you to keep you out of the game to support your own. Going forward, we need to vote as a block of people in interests that interest what we need, not whether they're black, not whether they're white, not whether they're Democrat, not whether they're Republican. We have to vote for people that are going to assist us in our needs. And we have to vote on people, and black people, you really need to think about that. And in your local elections, you need to vote for the black person that is using the proper rhetoric, that he's going to assist the people in their hood. Not just that overall shit about that's what they do. They talk about overall things. They look at you as kids, so they give you trinkets and little things that sound good, but nothing ever changes. I've been here for a while now. I've seen the games. It's a complete circle. Wash, rinse, and rewash again. It's the same thing over and over. Racism today is more blatant than ever due to social media. Racism didn't go anywhere. It's always been there. But because social media, we have different chatting platforms, you have different photography, you have different ways of Facebook, you have TikTok, you have different ways of conveying your message in true color and pictures. So now where things seems like it may have been bad, no, trust me, it was worse back then, but it's bad now too, because you can see it, and they're getting more and more and more bold to speak up and say things. These white supremacists will stay online and they will say all type of crazy things with no facts. White supremacists, they don't use facts. They're not able to use facts, because if white supremacy uses facts, it pretty much kills their movement. So they have to make up charts. They have to use per capita. They have to just create different type of narratives to make it appear and seem that it's one thing that it's not. That's why you can have Fox News that'll just focus on the same thing over and over and over again. And so I'm not going to keep you too long. First, I want to say like, comment, also subscribe. This is Black Views, bringing you the Black News.